Hey, it's Prosper. Welcome back to my channel and the Monday upload. Today we are going to be talking about focus. I have made a written focus guide in the past. This video will cover everything I talked about in that guide, along with some extra stuff I didn't mention. If you still want to check out that guide I made, I will leave it in the description below. The level of focus you can bring to your gameplay will have a very significant change in your performance. It is arguably the most important aspect of playing well. Without it, everything you practice can fall short and feel meaningless. But with it, you can break plateaus and boost every trait of your gameplay, since it is the source of improvement and learning. In this video, I will cover what focus does to our brain exactly, how we can manifest it, and its limits. This episode is going to be a good one. Let's get it. Before we get into it, we need to understand what focus is exactly and the chemical process that takes place in our brain. I won't bore you with too much science, but I won't leave any necessary info out either. Focus is the center of our attention or interest. It can dramatically alter your aim, game sense, all-in-game mechanics, and decision making greatly. Focus is not something that should repeatedly feel like an active process. In its peak form, it is effortless, and when we are all at our highest learning capability. Some people refer to this as flow or being in the zone. So what is responsible for this level of focus? The answer to this is a substance synthesized by neurons called acetylcholine, which is responsible for our alertness, learning and focusing, and it mediates our attention and where it is directed. Put simply, the process of focus and learning new skills is undergone in two steps. 1. Once we achieve a high level of focus on a specific activity, the chemical acetylcholine will emerge and set markers in the brain for change in order for us to learn and improve on that ability. 2. The change won't actually occur unless we get REM sleep the same night. This means we need 8 hours of sleep. Here is a clip of a great podcast here on YouTube, Rich Roll, where a neuroscientist named Dr.Andrew Huberman is a professor in the Department of Neurobiology at Stanford University School of Medicine, explaining this exact event in the brain.
So in other words, if you want to change your brain as an adult, let's say you want to be less anxious, you want to learn a new language, you want to be more functional in some way, presumably. The key thing is to bring focus to some particular perception of something that's happening during the learning process. And the reason for that is that there's a neurochemical system involving acetylcholine. And it comes from these two little nuclei down in the base of the brain called nucleus basalis. All day long, you're doing things in a reflexive way. But when you do something and you think about it very intensely, acetylcholine is released from basalis at the precise neurons that were involved in that behavior, and it marks those for change during sleep or during deep rest later. So for people that want to change their brain, the power of focus is really the entry point, and the ability to access deep rest and sleep. Because most people don't realize this, but neuroplasticity is triggered by intense focus. But neuroplasticity occurs during deep sleep and rest.
Now that you understand focus and deep sleep is essential for change, how can we create a level of focus within ourselves? This is probably what most of you struggle with. First, we need to understand focus isn't a product of casual desire. It usually forms when we are in need of something, typically when a level of urgency is involved. This goes back to the dawn of man. Focus is believed to be a necessary trait for our survival when our food or water ran low and we needed extra attention in order to obtain these necessities of life. There are two ways to create a level of urgency in order to bring a high level of focus. 1. Through the passion of something. For example, let's say I practice playing a game like Valorant every day because I love the game, the process, and I am eager to keep getting better. This is usually a little unrealistic. It is very easy for us to feel this way when we start a game, but after some time, our love for the game can quickly fade, and it isn't that we don't enjoy it anymore, but that same level of eagerness or urgency isn't around, and even if it comes, it tends to go just as quick for most of us. The best way to encourage yourself through passion for the game is to convince yourself to enjoy the process of getting better. That means embracing all the ugly bits of the game. Solo queue? Better learn to love the challenge. Going against a hacker? Embrace the feeling that someone feels the need to cheat in order to beat you. The moment you lose love for the game and getting better is the moment you will lose focus. This can prove to be difficult, but since you rely on the process being enjoyable, you can't let it affect you negatively. 2. Through the fear of something. For example, if my dream is to go pro at a video game, the fear of working a 9-to-5 office job and being unhappy can cause me to feel a sense of urgency to get better quickly, otherwise I might suffer from that fate. This usually works a little better since most humans are more often motivated by negative over positive reinforcement. For instance, an example I used in a written focus guide was, imagine you were on top of a very high cliff and you saw a briefcase filled with life-changing money, but it was slowly falling off the edge. Think about the level of urgency you would feel to grab that briefcase before it fell that could change your quality of life. Now this time, imagine the same scenario, but instead of a briefcase filled with money, it was a loved one, someone you truly care about. Could be a family member, a friend, a pet. Think about the level of urgency you would feel to save them from falling off this cliff. Now tell yourself, which one was the greater motivator of urgency to move? Was it the money or the loved one? Almost all of you would choose the fear of losing a loved one. I apologize for putting you through such an intense hypothetical, but it was necessary to prove a point. Fear is almost always the greatest motivator, but if you can motivate yourself consistently through the passion of something, this is the clear choice, since too much fear can cause anxiety and stress if the stakes are believed to be too high. A realistic thought you can use to instigate a fear to help you focus more is remembering why you want to get better, which should be to not remain the same skill level you currently are. Think about how upsetting it would be for you to keep playing at the skill level for months or even years. The fear of staying the same should encourage you to act urgently and help you create a level of focus. If you feel as though every situation procured by fear is causing too much anxiety and stress, then you will need to find a way to encourage yourself through passion. Now obviously there are tons of things that can help your focus, from meditation, supplements, practicing mindfulness, and many others. I plan on talking about all these things in the future, but for this video I wanted to go over the most essential way of creating focus through mindset, since this is the most influential part of being able to focus well. It is also important to know focus, much like anything else, can't be kept up for long. It does become exhausting. Taking a small break every hour or so for 5 to 10 minutes that's stress-free will actually help us not fatigue mentally. If you aren't used to focusing for hours at a time, that's fine. It isn't easy, and like anything else, it needs practicing, so be patient with yourself and learn to develop this skill. Now you know the physiological process of the brain and focus, the two ways to manifest it, and its limits. That wraps it up for this video. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed or learned anything from this, leave a like and subscribe. Comment below on any suggestions you might have for me to work on next. I will be uploading every Monday and Friday starting next week. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prosper Ames for updates and exclusive content. Join the Scholar Court if you haven't already. It's a fast-growing Discord server filled with tons of info and has hundreds of members that strive to improve every day. All links are in the description below. Love you all. See you guys in the next one.